Good Monday morning, all back together in studio today. Boomer is back. When he left, there was no baseball. The Knicks had problems. The Nets had bigger problems. You have come back. There's no baseball. The Knicks have problems. The Nets have bigger problems. We will get into all of it as we also await, as Al and Jerry were talking about. It's going to happen this week. We are going to get an Aaron Rodgers decision this week. I firmly believe that at some point in the next 5 days we will get an Aaron Rodgers decision. Going to be a fun one today as we kick off the week. A feel-good Monday, if you will. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Good morning, Jay. Yeah, I'm doing great. And regarding Aaron Rodgers, tomorrow at 4 o'clock, every team has got to have their franchise tags in. So you may get something by tomorrow. So the Packers at least know what the hell they're going to do with Davante Adams. Now, they could continue to tag Davante Adams and then continue to negotiate with him. But I'm thinking it's going to be earlier. He said he was going to try to do this as quickly as possible. And really, again, everything I've read, everything I've seen, everybody I've talked to say that there's one team that he would consider going to, and that's the Denver Broncos. And I think I've been saying that for 6 months now.
You have been, and Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, also added the Titans and the Steelers to that mix in a tweet that caused some controversy. But, yeah, the Broncos is the place that has made the most sense for a long time now.
Yeah, right. And, the thing about the Titans, they would have to move some money around. You got to look at who has the available money for him and what he would require in terms of his average yearly salary. And, the other question you have to ask yourself is how much longer does he want to play? Does he want to play 3 more years, 4 more years, only 2 years?
Does he want to play at all anymore?
Right. Well,
that is an option.
Those are the answers that you would need if you are an acquiring club for him. But a lot of this stuff now is going to start coming to roost here in the next 24 hours. Who's getting tagged, who's not getting tagged, who's going to get a contract extension. And then after that, let's face it, you're talking about free agency starting. That starts on March 16th. And that is going to be, it's going to be wild. And then on top of that, you have the NHL trading deadline. You also have a potential of maybe baseball coming to some sort of agreement. I just think that baseball doesn't care about April baseball. I don't think
there are owners. Yeah, it's been reported in there. There was a Joel Sherman article last week that basically detailed how there is a large faction of owners that believe that they can make money by canceling the April games because of not paying players, which they think they're not going to, even though the players are going to fight for getting full salaries, even if they cancel a month. So that adds another thing on top of all the other things they're fighting. But not paying players, the fact that the attendance is low in April in a lot of cold weather cities, and kids are still in school. So they're like, screw April. Who cares?
You're going to get you'll get April spring training. And you said what you just said there. You just kind of went over it. You said it clearly. I hope people understand.
Well, I said it about 50 times last week.
I know you did. I know you did. So the more the owners cancel games, the deeper I think the cut is when it comes to the players and the owners discussing some sort of end of this whole thing, because now they've created a whole nother set of issues.
Yeah.
Because the players think that they're getting paid for 162 games. Guess what, boys? No, you're not.
Yeah. They wanted full salaries during the COVID season. Remember that?
Yes, I understand.
They said we're going to play 60 games and you're going to pay us full salaries. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen either.
No.
I mean, I know it's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. The owners are not going to pay the players. Yeah. You think that – I think Steve Cohen would be happy with the deal right now as it's structured, because this is all about small market teams.
Yeah.
This is all about the luxury tax and how much money, big market teams can spend before they start spending over that luxury tax, and then that money goes back to the other teams, which is really a ridiculous way of doing things. You have teams spending about $30 million on their roster.
Oh yeah, and then pocketing all this revenue sharing money.
They should just retract. Take them all out.
Or put them in markets. Yeah, put them in markets that would care about baseball. I was having a couple conversations, not this past week, and the prior weekend, about the Rays moving to Nashville, which apparently was like a talking point at some point. I guarantee that they would sell out games down there. It would be what they did with the Predators. If you moved a baseball team into Nashville, people would go nuts for that. You put a baseball team in Vegas, they go nuts for it. I mean, I think that there are some markets, especially in Florida, that are it's just pathetic. I mean, the Marlins and the Rays right at the top of the list. They're just nobody is supporting those teams at all. And you put them in cities that would care.
And the thing about it is the Rays are at least somewhat successful.
But still nobody cares. They can't sell out playoff games.
I know. It's sad, actually.
Yeah.
You would also like to think that there would be other cities out there that would love to have a baseball team, whether they be, Canadian cities or, maybe a team out in Portland or something. Who knows?
Yeah, does Portland still have those autonomous zones out there? Remember that whole thing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Do they still have those?
They may have them. I don't know.
Every time I hear Portland now, it's all I think about is the people created their own cities within those.
I thought that was in
fences.
Seattle.
No, it's definitely Portland. 100% Portland. They might have had it in Seattle as well.
I think it was both.
Yeah. Didn't they have like the chop thing or whatever they call it? Then they probably realized that chop is probably not the right thing to be calling it or something. They called it something else. I'm not really sure.
Autonomous zone. People just pooping in the street and stuff.
So I was also thinking, watching the Knicks against Phoenix, of all places, right?
Yeah.
I was also thinking that there's literally something wrong with Julius Randle.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to get to the bottom of it and know what's going on. I don't know if it's something off the court. I don't know if it's just pure frustration on the court that is manifesting itself into these outbursts. But, I mean, he's bumping officials. He's obviously getting into it with other players.
For no reason. And
getting
in the middle
ejected,
of a 10-point lead.
A $50,000 fine. It's just the way he started the game where – he ends up trucking the guy. I mean, and this is obviously, the fourth or fifth incident this season? And by the way, everybody who's dying to trade Julius Randle in the offseason, his value keeps going down. And I know he's had a couple of good games here or there in the second half, but the team stinks. He's not a leader, and he's having these outbursts. Who wants the guy? Who's going to be like, Julius Randle's he's the answer for our franchise?
They win last night going away. I mean, they just hammered the Clippers.
And you get some young guys in the mix last night, too, which was nice to see.
Julius Randle only had 10 points last night.
Yeah.
I mean, then he comes back and he says he's sorry and he got a $50,000 fine and everything. I mean, we are watching a guy that...
He's unraveling.
He has unraveled.
It's
not unraveling.
I guess you're right.
He's already unraveled.
Yeah.
In like 50 different ways.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue. I don't know what his future is going to be. That's going to be the most difficult thing out there. Is trying to get rid of him.
You know what really sucks? Tom Thibodeau, after the game, has got to it's an emotional game, and he's got to stick up for his player. I guess he has to. But I'd be like, if that were a hockey player, he wouldn't play the next game.
Yeah. Coach would probably say something along the lines of...
Go figure out what you need to get figured out. Because we can't have this.
Yeah, well, you know what it's like with the baby wipes and the NBA players.
Yeah, but I mean, it's mind-numbing. I mean, in the middle of a game that you're winning against a team that you're not expected to beat, and you got their ass beat, and you could have started this road trip with 2 wins.
But who cares about that? They're out.
And I know,
done.
but I'm just saying, it just kind of shows
matter.
you, what is Leon Rose going to do
with him?
I never know what he's going to do.
I don't know what he's going to do with Julius Randle.
I never know what they're going to do. I never truly understand anything about what the Knicks are doing. Nobody ever tells us anything.
No, they don't. Well, I mean, what could they tell us right now? The trade deadline is come and gone. You don't know exactly where they're going to end up and what their assets are going to be come draft time. They probably are desperately want to get rid of Julius Randle, but how do you do that? And everybody else outside of R.J. Barrett should basically be available in a trade.
I would just keep all these young guys, just keep them playing and just I don't know. I just don't see any sort of light at the end of the tunnel, especially when you see, what's going on in the Eastern Conference. Now, the Nets lose yesterday, and for some reason, the Knicks play the Celtics tough. I'm not really sure why, but Jason Tatum is virtually unstoppable.
Yeah, I mean, he just turned it on. He ended up being, even though KD was on the court last night, he was the best player on the court, Jason Tatum. But
again, it goes to show you what the Knicks don't have.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, but we knew that. I mean, the Knicks are irrelevant at this point. I mean, the only thing I'm paying attention to locally in the NBA is rooting against the Nets and making sure that this whole thing collapses. And right now, I feel great about it. I really do. I think it's a great spot. I believe it was Friday. I asked Jerry, I said, do you remember the morning of January 13th? And it's when KD, Kyrie, and James Harden. It was the morning after they beat the Bulls. They killed the Bulls. Do you remember that? All three of them played together, and they were great. And I came on the air the next day. I'm like, I'm so jealous of these guys. I hate them. They're going to win a championship, and I can't stand it. From that morning to where they are now is a complete 180. Now under 500, even games in which KD and Kyrie play together, they're losing. I mean, it's great. It's another total disaster year for what was supposed to be this great championship run that they were going to be on.
So, kind of think that James Harden couldn't wait to get outside of the Kyrie Irving beehive.
Yeah, but
that's exactly it. I mean, I'm not saying he's any better,
right?
But he just wanted to get the hell out of here. He hated it here.
Yeah, he
and
did.
The more you hear all these little drips and drabs that are coming out now, it's like you could say these guys could say whatever they want. He hated it here.
Yeah, I mean, it's just another wasted year. I mean, think about it. Year one, of course, Kevin Durant didn't play. Year
Kyrie
two,
Irving backed out.
Yeah, and
during
the bubble too.
The bubble, yeah.
Year two, Kyrie took all that time off and never explained where he was going. The James Harden trade was made. They were never really healthy, never really played together, and then ended up losing to the Bucks. This year might be the worst of them all.
It's unbelievable.
They're sitting there under 500. I mean, how the hell does that happen? You know, Kevin Durant goes down. James Harden forces himself out. Kyrie Irving can't play home games because of these ridiculous rules. So, yeah, it's just it's another.
And by the way, don't forget Ben Simmons, who's not coming back until after this Wednesday's game at Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean, if
he does not want to play in Philadelphia.
No, of course he doesn't. I mean, and who knows when the hell we see him? I mean, there's no real timeline on him right now. So, I mean, it's great.
He's shooting baskets after practice.
I mean, this is just it's awesome.
How old is Ben Simmons? Like 25?
Yeah, I mean, he's right around there.
How is a 25-year-old kid not playing basketball? How is he not playing basketball? I'm like, the thing that he grew up wanting to do his entire life and to play in the greatest league there ever was and to be on a team that has two of the better players in all of basketball. How is a 25-year-old kid not on the basketball court?
I don't. There might be something to do with him trying to recoup money back from the Sixers, because if he just ended up playing right away with the Nets, they could be justified in the fines that they gave him.
So this is the way that the Nets have to go about. They have to bring in another guy, pay him. He doesn't play. The guy the Nets trade to the 76ers, now all of a sudden, like even though he sat the other night and they lost, goes out there, wins 3 straight games in a row, and looks like the all-star he always has been.
Yeah, I know.
The Nets like a doormat or what?
I mean, this is what it's turning out to be. I mean, it's
really embarrassing. It is about as embarrassing as it gets. Really, when you think about it, when you really...
This is 3 years in now, too.
When you really look at
3
this,
years in.
The amount of money that Josiah has spent.
Oh, yeah, Sean Marks has got to be devastated.
I mean, I don't even know how Steve Nash coaches this team.
Yeah,
is he coaching a team? I'd be like, how does a guy like that show up every day at work and look at that stuff out on the basketball court and go, what are we doing? I will say this.
Yeah.
If Ben Simmons decides to come back.
Well, who knows, though, what you're going to get from him.
And somehow they get into this play-in situation, and they make it, and they got the big 3 going, and then maybe they go on a run. Maybe we'll eat our words, but
it's still a possibility. But the way things are going,
unbelievable thing.
They've never played together.
In professional sports, the amount of money that has been spent for what they have received in return is insane.
Oh yeah, I mean, and we are 3. This is year 3, so this is not like, hey, give it some time, see what happens. This is year 3 of this experiment.
So Kyrie is he's available for an extension. He's got a player option, but he's also available for an extension if they want to give him an extension. If you are the Nets, do you give him an extension? I mean, honestly.
Well, I mean, if Kevin Durant wants that, then yes. I mean, I think you have to save face
by
somehow.
the way, let me just say something. Whatever Kevin Durant wants or LeBron James, screw that.
Well, that's what happens.
I mean, can we run the team like we're supposed to run the team?
No, not in the NBA. Not in the NBA. You know how it works. Star player gets whatever he wants. There's a couple of guys that are out there that get whatever they want. Kevin Durant's one of them. He wants to give it a go again next year with Kyrie Irving and Ben Simmons. That's what's going to happen.
Well, he has no choice about Ben Simmons because he has a long-term contract.
Well,
so
what does that mean?
Together. The question really is, I mean, does Kevin Durant really want to deal with the Kyrie beehive stuff, like all the stuff that goes on around him and everything that, no matter how
he signed
good
an extension, so I mean, he wants to be. He's going to stay in Brooklyn. I would imagine.
Are the Nets going to give Kyrie Irving an extension, or is he going to play on a 1-year player option?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, I think we'll find out with the way the rest of the season goes.
I guess they have to give him an extension.
I mean, if they end up going to the NBA Finals, then yeah, then give him an extension. Still a long way to go in this season to see how it plays out, but I'm feeling pretty good about this being a pure disaster, 100%.